guys, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Becca and today I'm going to be talking about my 2022 channel and reading goals. So the goals in this video are very much going to be centered around reading and my channel, but there is just one lifestyle goal, my New Year's resolution, if you will, even though I don't really make them, that I would like to work towards. And while we talk about that, I would like to say a big thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. So in 2022, I would like to prioritize myself a little bit more and work towards a better work-life balance. A lot of you guys will know that in November and December, I removed the pressure of having a set TBR that I had to read because I was a little bit busier, and that did wonders for me in ways that I did not even expect. So obviously we had the smaller TBR, I didn't have to read all of the books, so we had the freedom there, which was fully expected. But what I didn't expect is that I was so much more productive while I was working, because I could dedicate a little bit more time to solid work without thinking, after I've done this, I need to somehow sit down and read 200 pages. So that is the energy that I would like to bring forward into 2022, where I'm more productive, more efficient while I'm working. And when I'm not working, I'm actually living my life a little bit, spending time with my friends and my family. I can make plans without having to really hustle and rush to be able to carve that time out for myself. And one of the best ways to make sure that you're following through on all of those healthy mental health habits is by working with a licensed therapist. So if you guys are unaware of what BetterHelp is online therapy with a network of over 20,000 licensed professionals, making it easy to find a therapist that is a good fit for you. BetterHelp cuts out all of those tedious parts of therapy, like waiting around in a stuffy waiting room for your appointment, and even just the weeks upon weeks that you have to wait just to make the first contact with a therapist. As with BetterHelp, you can begin communicating with your therapist in as little as 48 hours, and BetterHelp is available to clients worldwide. We all know that finding a therapist that fits your needs can be super difficult, so BetterHelp makes it free and easy to switch therapists if you need, and you can log into your online account at any time to send a message to your therapist and even schedule weekly video or phone sessions. So if you want to make steps towards prioritizing your mental health, you can visit betterhelp.com/Becca. That is betterhelp.com/Becca to get 10% off your first month and join the over 2 million people who are taking charge of their mental health with the help of a licensed professional and BetterHelp. So on to the goals. We're going to start with the reading goals, and the first one, the super simple one, the one that we have every single year, is the Goodreads goal, which is I think the only quantifiable goal in this list. My Goodreads goal is set at 118 books this year. Every year I set it as one more book than I read the year previously. Last year I read 117 books. Now, as I said in my stats video, I won't be mad if I don't hit this, because if I don't, I will still set it for 2023 as one more that I read in 2022. It's just the number will be a little bit lower. So my Goodreads goal is not something I really actively work towards. I don't usually get to a point where I'm ever really behind after the first couple of months of the year. However, obviously every single year it gets more and more difficult to stay ahead when the number gets bigger and bigger. So we'll see what happens, but that is the system of how I set my Goodreads goal, and for this year it's at 118 books. One of my main priorities for this year is going to get on top of some series. I have done a couple of things already that help me with this. I'm doing the series in a week vlog, so essentially I start and finish a trilogy within a week period. That is really helping me with my backlist, which is something else that I want to prioritize just generally moving forward. And it also means that I'm not starting a series and then waiting 2 months till I pick up the next book, then waiting 2 months till I pick up the last book. But I did add 2 sequel spaces to the Bookopoly board this year to further help me out with that a little bit as well. Now, an interesting project that I'm going to be actively working towards in 2022 is going to be called TBR 500. You may have seen similar challenges before, but they're normally called TBR 0, where people are trying to get down to absolutely no unread books on their TBR, so they've read everything. At this point, that would take me, if I didn't acquire a single book, so literally nothing, that would still take me about 3 years to do. And it's not something I want to do because I like having a selection. I like that Bookopoly sometimes randomizes what I'm gonna read, and it forces me to pick up something that I necessarily wouldn't have picked up in that moment. I have a wide range of interests. I have niches that I focus on, but I also occasionally like to read a thriller or like a cute little contemporary, things like Heartstopper that I really enjoy. So I like having that wide selection, and the reason why I'm doing Project TBR 500, which essentially is to keep my TBR under 500, currently at 490 as of my unread books video, but that doesn't include my Christmas book haul. So I got a bit of work to do essentially. But the reason that I want to do it is that I don't want to put any more bookshelves in my house. I'm just essentially at my capacity for books, so I won't know how successful I've been with this project up until we get to the point next year where I film the next round of all of my unread books. But as kind of a benchmark to keep me on track, I'm definitely going to be trying to haul less than I'm reading, which is a little bit difficult because I do get books monthly. Like I get Illumicrate, Fairyloo, Goldsboro. I get the odd review copy. I've been working with Book of the Month, so I get new books in that regard as well. So it's going to be pretty much me restricting my own purchases. I'm not going on a book buying ban because that's not going to work for me. There's absolutely nothing that's going to stop me getting my pre-orders. Or for example, if I read the first book in the Wheel of Time series and I really love it, I'm not going to wait until the end of the year to purchase the sequel to that. I just want to be a little bit more intentional about my purchases and see if we can keep that TBR under 500. In terms of what I was saying about wanting to put myself first and be more productive within my like working hours going forward into 2022, I want to get into a habit. This is a little bit lifestyle as well, but it is directly related to reading. I want to make focus sessions for myself because I have discovered, and you've heard me say it multiple times, and every time it happens I act like it's this big revelation when it's something I've always known about myself. I work better when I'm reading with a time goal instead of a page goal. So if I think I need to read 100 pages tonight before I go to bed, that just stresses me out. It doesn't make me read any faster. And what also happens is that after that 100 pages, I just put the book down and I move on to something else. So I'm not ever getting ahead of what I'm intending to do. But if I set a time limit, if I set a timer for 45 minutes, what I find is that I read for an entire 45 minutes. So I'm much more focused. I take in the story better. I read faster because I'm not picking up my phone after every chapter. So I want to integrate that into a normal part of my life where I'm regularly setting timers to read to, so that the time that I'm allocating for reading, I'm actually spending reading. As I've also said in this video, I've been thinking about my content going forward and what I want to do, what I enjoy doing, what you guys enjoy seeing over the last 12 months or so. And then I've also mentioned in my stats video that I keep referring to myself as a fantasy and sci-fi reader. I'm not. I'm a fantasy and romance reader. So I want to lean into my niches a little bit, and this also feeds into the fact that I had a very low percentage of like 5-star reads last year in comparison to earlier years. My tastes have changed and I need to make my reading reflect that. So I don't want to be that person anymore that's saying, I really want to read this, but I can't read this right now. I want to be the person who's like, I really want to read this and I'm actually going to read it. Now, the reason this is so difficult for me is because I don't want to be starting new series before I've finished others. So I need a mix essentially of picking up the things I'm really excited about, because naturally if I really enjoy that thing, I'm going to want to progress through it faster if it's a series, and that will over time solve this problem I have with all of these series I have open. But I also want a mix of this and also making progress on things like my series, my unhaul project, clearing through my backlist and all of that kind of stuff. And then the final thing that I have as a reading goal is just to work on my backlist a little bit more. As I said in my stats video, I want that section that says own TBR to be the dominant section in my sources pie chart. By reducing the amount of books that I'm hauling a little bit with TBR 500 and also prioritizing my backlist, I'm hoping to shift that round. Essentially what I'm finding is that my tastes have changed. My book collection started 10 years ago with secondhand book shopping, and I still have some of those books that I'm still interested in reading, and every year I've been gaining more books until I'm at the point where I'm at now. But my tastes have changed, and so I have a lot of books that don't quite exactly fit my tastes anymore, and not as many books that fit my taste now and what they're evolving into. So I want to reduce some of that backlist, even if it comes to a point where I'm making ruthless decisions on unhauling things. That with this TBR 500 project that I want to do, if we get to December and I'm not under 500. I may make it so that I have to unhaul from my backlist down to 500 because I'm just a very curious person and I want to experience everything. I want to read every single book that exists. That's like a bit of an exaggeration, but I like to be open-minded. I like to leave myself open to be surprised by things, whether it is something as simple as a book that I wouldn't normally pick up, but I've found an opportunity to read it, so I'll give it a try. It may end up being one of my favorite books. I don't know if I close myself off to those opportunities, but I also want to be a little bit more realistic and focus on things that I know I'm going to enjoy and having a little bit of a more enjoyable experience in that regard, if that makes sense. So now we're going into my channel goals. This is the difficult one. This is the one that I'm really not sure about, and it is something I've been thinking over the last 3 months-ish, and I wasn't sure whether I wanted to say something, but I feel like if I am going to say anything about it, it should be here in a video like this. I think that after 2022, Bookopoly is not going to exist on my channel in the same way that it does right now. I feel like I can say that concretely. It's something that I toyed with going into 2022, whether it was time for Bookopoly to come to an end, but I don't want Bookopoly to come to an end. I enjoy doing Bookopoly. It's just, I don't think it can continue to exist on my channel as it is now. So it may be that instead of having it as a monthly TBR, I could just switch to bi-monthly. Instead of having it monthly, it could be like I set a list of 5 books. When I've read the 5 books, I then do Bookopoly again. So it will be more dependent on when I actually get around to the books. But when I did Rolling As I Go in December, as I said at the beginning of this video, I just felt so much better. And it's hard for me to come to terms with this as well, because I am somebody who needs goals to progress. I need that TBR to keep me motivated. I think I'm maybe changing as a person a little bit. I think I've spent so much time being driven and goal focused that it's just part of my nature now to do certain things, that I don't need this thing being held over my head to make me actually do it. The reason that I am goal oriented is because I'm quite lazy by nature, so I set myself goals to make myself achieve them, and I will work. I'm also very driven and very stubborn, so I will work my ass off to achieve those goals, and that combats my lazy nature. But I think through the practice of doing this for so long, it's just become something that I will do. I will work hard. It's not in my nature to be as lazy anymore. Instead, I tend to work my ass off and then have small deep periods of laziness. Like, I'll spend a Sunday in bed, but I'll spend 6 days of the week like busting my ass. I can't tell you right now if Bookopoly is going to come to an end completely. I just didn't want to come to January 2022 and tell you guys that Bookopoly was over and it just wasn't happening without giving you any warning. So this is essentially the warning that I think that 2022 is the last year of Bookopoly as it is now. If you have any suggestions of how I can keep Bookopoly but without it being this monthly thing that I have to do, I would love to hear them, because I would like to have a system in place to still utilize Bookopoly. I just can't really figure out what that is right now. It's a decision. Like, I still enjoy doing it monthly and still enjoy what it is. I don't even know, it could be as simple as just removing the punishment option, so Bookopoly becomes more of a guideline that I'm aiming for as opposed to something that I have to do. Let me know what you guys think. In terms of themed vlogs, I nailed down a schedule towards the end of last year for my themed vlogs. So at the minute we have 3 themed vlog series, and they go on a 3-month schedule. So every month you will have 1 themed vlog in one of these series, and they rotate. The first one, I guess, is the one that's going to be coming this month, and that is Series in a Week, which I've already mentioned, where I select a series and read that in a week. In terms of that series as well, the last 2 times I've done it, I've been picking series where I own the first book and I don't own the next. And when I did my entire unread TBR video, I realized that I have a whole ton of series in their entirety on my shelves that I haven't started. So when it comes to what series I'm going to be choosing for the Series in a Week, it's going to be ones that I own at least the first 2 books of if it's a trilogy, but I want to prioritize the ones that I own all of them first, because that feeds into everything else I want to do, like TBR 500 and prioritizing backlist books and all of that kind of stuff. The second one that will be coming in February is the next installment of my unhaul project. That is combating what we've been talking about today, where I want to give a whole range of different books that I wouldn't normally read a chance, but because they're not my preference, I'm never picking them up. I have a whole tour of all of the books that are currently included in that. They're essentially just books that I think that I'm going to unhaul. I give them a chance, I leave myself open to DNF, and we clear through that a little bit in these focused vlogs. And the final vlog series that we're still working on is the Goldsboro one. The next installment of that will be in March, where I read the books that I've received in the Goldsboro Sci-Fi and Fantasy Fellowship subscription for the last 3 months, because if I'm paying for this, if it's something that I want, I'm holding myself accountable to actually reading those books. There is another kind of theme that I would like to play around with. It's going to be an if and when kind of situation, but that is going to be reading books that you guys recommend to me based on the ones that you recommended on my entire owned TBR. Once again, prioritizes my backlist because everything on that video is what I owned in December last year. And also, like, there's thousands of comments, like, you guys come out in force to recommend books on that video, and I maybe land on the square on Bookopoly twice a year, so I don't want your efforts to be in vain. I actually want to read the books that you're recommending, and that is something that I would like to do throughout this year, probably going forward as well. It's just with Bookopoly, this is another reason why I'm finding Bookopoly a little bit restricting at the minute, is because I want to do stuff like this, but with all the Bookopoly books, it's very difficult, and then I have to just like try and Tetris all of my reading in, which makes my life less enjoyable. But yeah, that is another idea that I have that I would like to bring into fruition at some point. And then the last thing in this video is kind of its own subcategory, but it also comes under channel, is my Patreon. If you guys don't know, I do have a Patreon. I've had it for about a year and a half now, and the link is always in my description box if you want to check it out. But something that I love throughout 2021, something that's made my heart like swell, is the community that has grown within my Patreon. I consider my patrons my friends at this point. I always drop into the Discord to let them know how my day's going, if I had like a weird dream, if anything funny happened, and it's just become a very close community of really great people. And something else that I really love is that the people in my Patreon have found lifelong friends and developed really close friendships with people that they hadn't met until they joined, which just makes me really happy. My Patreon has grown so much in terms of the community and also the perks and stuff since it started in like the middle of 2020. In terms of Patreon being like a goal, I just want to continue channeling my energy into that. It's just a really great place to be, and it's somewhere where I can really see the effects of my work on it in the reactions that I get from my patrons to some of the stuff going on. We just did a 24-hour readathon that I may be thinking about making a bi-monthly thing that isn't solid, because it depends how stressed I am in March, but hopefully with me trying to achieve a better work-life balance, that is something that will become achievable. We have also just introduced monthly bookmark for the top tier, which I have the January one here, the February and the April ones are currently in for printing. Just having a creative outlet like this for me to do something artistic, which I haven't had time to prioritize in years, I've really loved. I've also added as a little extra, my digital book journal pages get uploaded there every month. We have weekly reading sprints, like 3 out of the 4 weeks of the month I tend to do 4 hours of weekly reading sprints, monthly chatty live shows, a Discord, a place for everyone to share their wish lists, and people surprise each other with birthday gifts and stuff. So it's just a real wonderful place to be, and I would like to continue to grow that community throughout the year of 2022. So that is it. Those are all of my goals, my intentions, things that I have in store for my reading and my channel going forward into 2022. I'm feeling really good right now, and it was only when I took that break in November and December that I realized that I've been doing too much and I've been pushing too hard, and it's only when I relieved the pressure that I realized the effect that the pressure had had on me. And now that I've acknowledged that, I feel like a brand new person, even in terms of, like I said, how much more productive I was when I was working, how much more refreshed and energetic and into making videos again than I am. I'm just feeling real good right now, and I'm feeling optimistic about just the future, the year coming, and just it's a sunny day as well, so the sunlight has probably affected me a little bit. But please let me know down in the comments if you do have any suggestions of how we can continue to integrate Bookopoly into my channel without it being as restrictive as it is now. Like I said, it could be something as simple as just removing the punishment. I just don't want it to feel like I'm making this list of books every month that I'm never going to read, if you know what I mean. We'll see if we can come up with something as a collective. And also let me know what you think about any of the other goals that I mentioned in this video. Once again, of course, a big thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video, and if online therapy is something that you've been considering, if it is something that you would like to look into, then please do not hesitate to visit betterhelp.com/Becca. That is betterhelp.com/Becca to get 10% off your first month of online therapy. But aside from that, guys, please don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you wanna. If you head to my description box, you'll find a link to my Goodreads, Instagram and Twitter if you'd like to follow me on any of those, as well as link to my Bookish Candle website, the Instagram and Etsy for that, and a 10% off discount code. But that's it from me today, guys. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you're a go when nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.